Frieren follows humans, little guys, drunks, male models, but a whole lot of focus is on the elves, who are all kind of ridiculous. Why is she like this? Or this petty one, this whole thing, this behavior? What drives immortals of immense power to spend their time doing this?
If you searched, is Frieren overrated? Why is Frieren so slow? Or Frieren bad writing explained? Congratulations! This video is for you and the terrible anime fans that Frieren provides. Today,
Elves
we're
in
talking
Frieren
about
are really interesting.
Frieren, Beyond Journey's End, the anime that half the internet calls a masterpiece and the other half calls boring, mid, overrated, or nothing happens. And I'm here to say something controversial. If you think Frieren is bad right now, you are probably 3 episodes away from switching up and pretending you always loved it. This is a rage bait breakdown, yes, but it's also painfully accurate. Let's talk about the 4 signs that you're about to switch sides and why so many people think Frieren has a bad script before they actually understand what it's doing. First sign, you're about to switch up on Frieren. You keep calling it slow, but you haven't dropped it. Be honest. You said the pacing is bad. You said the plot is dragging. You Googled, does Frieren get better? Because you are waiting for a big fight, a dramatic twist, or some viral shonen-level explosion. You expected constant action, fast character arcs, and hype moments every 2 episodes. Instead, Frieren gives you silence, reflection, long pauses, and conversations about time. And that makes you uncomfortable. But here's the twist, you're still watching. If it was truly bad writing, you would have quit. The reason you haven't dropped it is because deep down, you feel something brewing. You feel the atmosphere building. You feel the emotional payoff setting itself up quietly. That boring pacing? It's deliberate narrative structure. Frieren's storytelling is built around long-term emotional resonance, not short-term adrenaline. The fact that you're still tuning in means the hook is already in you. You just don't want to admit it yet. Second sign, you're about to switch up. A random flashback hit you harder than you expected. You told everyone nothing was happening. Then suddenly, there's a Himmel memory. No screaming, no dramatic music drop, just a quiet moment where Frieren realizes she didn't understand how precious her time with him was. And now you're staring at your ceiling at 2 a.m., wondering why that scene hit so hard. That's not bad writing, that's restrained writing. Frieren doesn't beg for tears. It doesn't shove trauma in your face with melodrama. It uses subtle emotional layering. And subtlety is something a lot of anime fans mistake for emptiness. We're used to emotional scenes screaming at us. Frieren whispers, and whispers are more dangerous because they linger. The people who call the script bad usually mean it's not loud enough, it's not dramatic enough, it's not constantly escalating. But that's the point. It's a post-hero journey narrative. It's about what happens after the big adventure ends. That concept alone flips the standard fantasy anime formula upside down. Third sign, you're about to switch up on Frieren. You started defending it in arguments even though you don't like it. This is where the hypocrisy gets funny. At first you said it was mid, then someone online said it was overrated trash, and suddenly you're writing paragraphs explaining themes of mortality, time perception, and emotional detachment. Wait, I thought it was boring? Now you're analyzing character development like a film student. That's because Frieren slowly rewires how you think about storytelling. It shifts the focus from spectacle to reflection. It makes you realize most fantasy anime end the story at the victory screen. Frieren begins there. That structural choice is genius. But if you're conditioned to expect constant rising action, it feels like nothing is happening. What's actually happening is internal growth. Frieren's character development is subtle and gradual. She learns to understand humans not through one dramatic revelation, but through accumulated experiences. That's realistic progression. But realism often gets labeled as slow pacing in anime discourse. Fourth sign, you're about to switch up. You watched another fantasy anime and it suddenly felt shallow. This is where Frieren permanently changes you. Once you get used to its reflective tone, its meditation on legacy, its focus on time as a narrative device, loud spectacle starts to feel hollow. You start asking deeper questions. What happens after the hero saves the world? How does immortality affect emotional attachment? What does regret look like over centuries? Frieren explores those questions quietly but consistently, and once that perspective clicks, you can't unsee it. The reason some viewers initially think Frieren has a bad script is because it doesn't follow traditional three-act urgency. It prioritizes atmosphere over plot twists. It values emotional accumulation over constant escalation. That doesn't mean it lacks structure. It means its structure is patient. And patience is something modern binge culture struggles with. Now, let's talk about why people think Frieren is overrated. When an anime receives overwhelming praise, backlash is inevitable. Search trends like Frieren overrated, why Frieren is bad, or Frieren boring explained spike precisely because hype creates resistance. Some viewers feel alienated when a slow burn anime gets called a masterpiece. They assume fans are exaggerating. They look for flaws. And yes, Frieren has elements that won't work for everyone. Its pacing is methodical, its tone is subdued, its conflicts are often internal rather than explosive. But labeling it bad writing ignores intentional craftsmanship. The dialogue is economical. The world building is subtle but consistent. The emotional arcs unfold naturally instead of through shock value. This isn't accidental, it's controlled storytelling. Here's the rage bait truth. Some people don't dislike Frieren because it's bad. They dislike it because it demands patience. It doesn't spoon-feed emotional catharsis. It doesn't rely on constant cliffhangers. It doesn't chase viral fight clips every week. And in a media ecosystem built on instant gratification, that feels almost rebellious. When viewers say, nothing happens, what they often mean is nothing explodes. But internal transformation is happening constantly. Frieren's gradual understanding of human connection is the plot. Fern's emotional restraint is the plot. Stark's insecurity and growth are the plot. These aren't side notes. They're the core. Another reason people initially call Frieren's script weak is because it avoids melodrama. Many anime heighten emotions with exaggerated reactions, heavy exposition, or dramatic music cues. Frieren trusts silence. It trusts facial expressions. It trusts pauses. That restraint can feel empty if you're expecting constant intensity. But restraint is a storytelling choice, not a flaw. In fact, restraint often creates stronger long-term impact. The emotional scenes don't scream. They echo. And let's address the SEO elephant in the room. Is Frieren the best anime of the year? Is Frieren better than typical fantasy anime? Why is Frieren so highly rated? These are the questions driving search traffic. The reason it ranks so highly on review platforms isn't because it's flashy, it's because it's cohesive. Its themes, tone, pacing, and character arcs align. It knows what it wants to be. It doesn't pivot for trend appeal. That consistency builds trust with its audience. So why will people think it's a bad script at first? Because it subverts expectations. It starts after the climax. It centers an emotionally distant protagonist. It avoids immediate stakes in favor of long-term meaning. It uses episodic reflection instead of constant overarching tension. For viewers trained on rapid escalation, that feels like structural weakness. But structurally, it's deliberate slow burn fantasy. Here's the final rage bait call-out. If you're still watching Frieren while complaining about it, you're already halfway converted. Truly bad anime get dropped. They don't spark debates about pacing, mortality, and narrative philosophy. The fact that Frieren inspires essays, arguments, and think pieces proves it's doing something impactful. And the moment you catch yourself recommending it to someone, but give it a few episodes, the switch is complete. So yes, call it boring, call it slow, call it overrated. But if you're still here searching its name, arguing about its themes, and thinking about Himmel's smile hours later, you already lost the war. Frieren doesn't win with noise. It wins with time. And time is exactly what the story is about.